I'm Surendra Manoj, and I'm a creator, developer, and partner trainer. And I welcome you all to this end-to-end deep learning series. And today's day 3 of end-to-end deep learning training series. And in today's session, we'll be taking a look at the custom UIs which we can build in Zoho Creator. So I welcome you all for today. And before we get started, as regular, we have a few key pointers to be mentioned. So we place all the attendees on mute so that the session will go in a smooth flow. Please ask your questions in the questions tab. We have our co-trainers, Hemant and Abhinya, and they will be actively answering your questions, whatever questions you have. And a recording of this session will be sent to all the attendees, and this recording will be sent to you at the end of the series. It will not be like sent in between. So every all the attendees and registrants will get this recording. So please participate in the polls and surveys which we initiate during the session or after the session. So your feedbacks which you are giving will help us to regulate the session's flow as well as to design the flow of the session which we are planning ahead. So let's get started with today's session. And this is the agenda for today. So we'll be taking a look at pages. We'll be taking a look at the HTML and ZML widgets. So as of yesterday, we would have completed forms, deluge, and reports. And today we'll be taking a look at HTML and ZML snippets. And these snippets are used to build custom, custom widgets. So let us say there's a in by default pages have panels, charts, forms embedding, report embedding, buttons, etc. If you want a customized version of any of these components, you can build it using HTML and ZML. And then comes the JS widget and domain whitelisting. So the JS widget is like a next step in building custom widgets. So where you can apply your own HTML, CSS. Okay. So in HTML snippet, we have the limitation that it supports only the inline CSS. While in JS widget, we have the option to build our own external CSS files as well, and we can also get data from other third-party websites or even other websites of other applications of Zoho, and use the same inside our JavaScript widget. And this JavaScript widget can be used to build custom UIs. And then comes the user management, and then we go for customer portal and SAML authentication. So let us get started. Let us get started with the introduction of pages. So pages is the place where we go for the business intelligence part of our application. So let us say we have forms. Let's say there's an application which is having 10 different forms, and the reports will help you understand what is happening in that particular form. So let us say there's an inventory management system which is having a warehouse inventory, which is having a sales order, which is having a purchase order, which is having customer details, and so on and so we know every form will have a report associated to it. So the data resides in the form, and the reports are the ways in which we are allowed to view the data which is available in that particular form. But how can we understand the entirety of this application? So I want to get into one single page where I can go ahead and say, okay, so this is my application, and I have so and so quantity in my warehouse, and so quantity has been sold out, and so orders has been placed, and these are orders which are pending, and those kinds of KPI based details. I want them consolidated in a one single place. So when we want such information, that's when we come to the pages. Okay. So reports are mostly used to visualize the data which is available in a particular form or a couple of forms if they are related to each other. And pages are used to monitor or understand the entire application. Okay. And coming to a few characteristics of pages, the pages are visually intuitive. So we know we have a lot of graphs, widgets, and we also saw we can build custom widgets and JavaScript widgets using HTML, CML, and JS. And Pages gives us a detailed understanding of the business intelligence. So let's say it allows us to monitor various KPIs which is happening across our application, and we can generate a very insightful business report within a matter of seconds, and it can be filtered. So Pages have the options to get query parameters associated to them, and using those queries we can generate, or we can get uh, customized reports. So let us say there are 4 different regions. I want to check what is happening with the northern region. So just with the click of a button or on user input of a field, we can filter the data based on that particular region. So that is how the dynamic the pages, and the pages are extremely dynamic, and so these are the few components which are available in the pages. So we start with panel. Panel is like a visual textual representation. So it allows us to understand the aggregate values, the actual values, counts, and all. And these panels are mostly textual in nature. We'll be taking a look at them real time in a couple of minutes. And then comes a chart. As we all know, charts are like the graphical or visual representation of the data which is available. We have pie charts, we have bar charts, we have scatter charts, line charts, and all. And then comes the button. Buttons are used to perform a certain action. So the buttons can, if you want, it can redirect us to a different website, or it can load us a particular report. And we can also have buttons which can execute a particular custom function, and these custom functions will be like performing some operations in the application. So those are the actions which can be done using the buttons. And then come to reports, we can embed reports and forms. So let us say there is a order management or a service management form that where which is having a report, and we can directly embed that report into a page, and from the page itself we can understand what are the service requests which are pending, what are the service requests which are completed, and we can do all the actions which we do in a particular page from the particular report from the page itself. And then comes the form. Is exactly so how we discussed about the reports. The form does the same. We can embed a form. We can directly feed in the data directly from the form itself instead of getting into the actual form and then uh, getting into the actual form and then filling the data. We can have forms embedded in the pages, and the changes can be viewed real time. So we'll be taking a look at that when we are building a custom widget using HTML and CML. And then comes the snippet. Snippet is the area where we actually code. So the snippets are there for HTML and CML. So talking about CML before we get detailed. So ZML is Zoho markup language, like HTML, which is a hypertext markup language. Zoho markup language is again developed by Zoho. It has a lesser number of tags when compared to HTML. So we know HTML has a lot number of tags, and it's not that easy to memorize every one of them. So ZML is a Zoho markup language developed by Zoho with lesser number of tags. And the reason why we are looking at ZML is ZML brings in out the nativity of the application. So let us say we have a HTML widget. When the screen size changes, the widget just resizes itself. So the HTML code is designed in such a way that it resizes itself, it compresses or expands depending on the size of the screen. But when it comes to ZML, the entire component rearranges itself based on the screen size. Okay. So, and we also have the option for widgets. So this is a sample visualization or the sample look of a page. So in the top, you can see we have these unassigned requests, today's pending services, all pending services, and also these are the panels. Okay. And then we have the graphical types. We have bar charts, we have pie charts, and we have line charts, we have web charts as well. And then comes the report. You can see we have embedded a particular report, so we can know what is happening in that particular report specifically. And similarly, the right hand side one is also a report which is in a card view. So uh, coming to a view of why we can go for a page. Okay, so let us understand there's an application called Zilker Home Appliances, and it has multiple functionalities associated to them, and each functionality will have multiple forms associated. So, for example, there will be products, there will be customers who are placing orders, and there will be job sheets assigned to a technician who has to go and service those orders. So, like if we have, let us say, two different forms for products and two different forms for orders, and job sheet might have another two. So I'm saying one as a master data and one as a transactional. So even now, this is having six different. It's having six different forms and reports associated to it. So to understand the entirety of this application, we'll be going for pages. So we can, as we discussed, it monitors all the key performance indicators. These are a few sample key KPIs which we have mentioned, and this is how we build the page. So I'll be taking you through this live in a next couple of minutes. And so this is how we generate the HTML snippet, and this is what I was talking about. The advantage of getting using CML. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So the advantage of using HTML, advantage of using CML over HTML is the components. I'm really sorry about the background noise. Someone is just starting their bike. Okay, yeah. So the advantage of using CML or HTML is you can see the component rearranges itself based on the screen size. So when it is accessed from the laptop, it is showing the full screen. When it's in the tab and mobile, and all these designs are like one single time. So Zoho Creator, as we know, is a cross-platform and cross-device compatible. So you build once, it's compatible with uh, iOS, Android, laptop, web version, tablets, mobiles. So it's like one time you build and it is accessible throughout the application. So that is why, and most of our and our pages are built with ZML. It's not built with HTML. So that is how it is natively reactive than it is just resizing or restructuring itself. And components of a page. So this is the panel. So I start the presentation here. I'll take you to the live application. Okay, so this is my dashboard, and just give me 1 second. So this is my dashboard where I can see all the applications I have built over the past year. So let me create a new application for today. I call the application as let us say P2 P2E A3. Okay, so I'm creating a new application. So let me create a form. So as we know, whatever application we build, the first component we have to create is a form. So I'm creating a new form here. So let's take a blank form and we call it as details. Okay. Okay. So we keep it all small. Okay. So let me just get a few fields here. I'll put a single line field for name. I'll get a email and phone number. Okay. So I'm considering a very simple form. The objective of today's session is to understand more about the pages and page components. So I'm constructing a very simple form. You can also use the name field, composite field for name. For simplicity, I'm using the single line field. I let us rename it as name. Okay, and accessing the application. So let us add a few details here. So let me add Surendra Manoj. And let me add Asha. And let me add Afrin. Okay, just give me a second. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so we have added three details. So Afrin, Asha, and Surendra Manoj. So let us create a few page components which we can manipulate, which we can understand based on these details. And when we come to chart, we'll add a few more details. Okay, so first I'm going to create a page. So again, when we are creating a page, we have two options. Either we can create a blank page, or we can create a page from a existing template, and we just configure that page. So if we choose an existing template, we'll have all these options listed to us. We can choose it from here. If not, I'm creating a blank page now. And let us create the blank pages basics. And creating a page. So the first component which we have is the panel. So the panel is as I said, it's a textual representation of the data which is available. It can help us with the aggregate values, counts, minimum and maximum. So let me just drag and drop a particular panel here. So here we see we have the option to calculate the sum. Let me zoom in. So it can either be a static text. It will have no options or no actions associated to it. It can be a static text, or we can use it to do a sum of. We can do a minimum, maximum. We can do median and count, distinct count and all. And if we want to integrate this with the Zoho sheet, we can get a particular cell value from the Zoho sheet, and it is also capable of getting integrated with Zoho products. Sorry, Zoho projects. Okay, so coming to the customization of this panel, so we can click on any one of these components and we can go ahead and select. So let us say I want the count of the records which are available. So I want the count of records, and I want to change this text to uh, number of employees. And now if I go to the live mode and if I reload it, so you can see the number of employees being added. So let us do one more thing. We have the option called option for form. So this is where we can embed forms from any of the applications within our account. So we can see if I go for application, it will display all the applications which is available under my account. By default, it will take the application in which we are currently sitting, and in case we want the application from a different sorry, in case we want a form from a different application, we have the option to load that particular form or embed that particular form into this page. So let me go ahead and get the details form embedded. Okay. So done. So if I reload it, you can see the details form embedded. Let us try uh, Fatima. Fatima at gmail.com, and let me give the number as 8776. Okay, 2668 and submit it. we can see the number of employees getting increased automatically, dynamically. So every time we add a record to the form, so the system automatically understands and the dashboard updates itself real time. So we can have n number of panels in the dashboard or the page, and the page updates itself real time based on the data flowing. And then comes in the panel, we have the option to restructure. So let us say in this panel, I want to configure it a bit more. I can go ahead and add elements. So let us say I want to add a heading. I can add a heading in the side. I can add a heading in the top. So it's like everything I do, it is going to be drag and drop. So in some cases, some of us may feel like, okay, I don't want to do the drag and drop. I can comfortably work with the code. We can see the code getting generated here. So this is a ZML code which is generating. So ZML code which will be taking a look at the later part of the session. So every block which I add or every change which I make gets reflected in this particular code. And using this code, the panel gets designed. And like I said, since we are the page is built on ZML, it allows the page to harness the nativity of the application. Okay, so let us add a heading. So the heading is hello developers, and the heading 2. So let us remove the heading 2, so there will be like a cluster. Okay, and delete. So if I want to delete element, I have to highlight it and go ahead and delete the element. So it's it gets deleted. So now if I go ahead, we have to make sure the rearrangement happens properly. So we can see the static text here. So as of now, there's no action associated to this text. So if I want something to happen on click of this text, we can see the there's action associated. So action type, on action type, I say I want a particular URL to be open, and let us say I want Facebook to be open, Google. So I'll say www.google.com. Okay, I want this to be opened in a new window. So now if I go ahead and refresh, if I click, now you can see it is a clickable hyperlink. Once I click on it, it's you can see the Google gets loaded. So it is not like we have to load a particular we can do the click actions only on the button. So we can do the actions on any of these applications, and it is not just the external URL. So let me change the URL to the URL of the report. Click. So I'll open a report, and the report has only one report, so it is saying all details. And let me just go ahead and click it. So we can see the all details report is being populated. So and in case if I don't want this to be opening in a new window, I can always go ahead and choose the same window, okay, or a pop-up. So same window is not that advisable while we are using in a dashboard, because once you click on the same window, the page gets redirected to that report and you will lose the access to the dashboard. You have to come back and access it. So I'll show you one example for pop-up as well. So it's asking me for width. I'll say 500 and height be 500. So by automatically it takes us pixel. If I go ahead and so you can see the report being populated in a pop-up form. Okay. So these are the actions which are associated to it. The other actions include, you can also execute a custom function. So these actions are also similar, common to the button. Okay, so whatever we are doing in a button, the same can be done using this action. And we can also style the panel. So getting into style, we have the option to customize the panel element by element. So let us say I want this to be Arimo, or I want this to be historical. So you can see only this element is getting changed to this particular font family, but the other elements which are available in the panel is not changed. So that is how we can customize the panel element by element. So let us say I want to change this color. So I want to change the font color to green. So these options and have these allow us to do more customization on the panels. Okay, and so now let us just refresh so we can see we don't have any actions associated to them. And so coming to the elements, we have we can add headings, normal text, bold text. If you want image, we can add the images, and we can mention how the images will be displayed. We can also add buttons to this panel, and so that is with the panel. And then comes the charts and gauges. So the charts and gauges, as we know, the charts and gauges are like visual representation. The charts are used when we want to just understand particular data. So what is happening in our application, or just monitoring the KPIs. We can go for chart. We have column chart. We have bar charts, line chart, scatter chart, area chart, web chart, and pie charts available along with another chart. But if you want to track the performance, or if you want to understand a target-based KPI, we can go for a gauge. Okay, so this I'll show a small example of gauge. So once I drag and drop the gauge, okay, just let me. Okay, so the gauge is asking me to determine what I want to determine. So I'm saying I want to count the number of records, and it is asking for the minimum value and the target. So let us say, in case if I'm going for a sales cycle, and I want to understand the total sales which is happening. I have a target of 1 crore, and I want a maximum value of like 1.5 crore. So my least target is 1 crore, and I want the maximum sales that is allowed to happen in that particular month to be 1.5 crore. So that those are the values which I explained. So let us say the minimum value to be 5, and the maximum value to be 6. Okay, so sorry, the maximum value to be 6 and the minimum value to be 5. See, and deluge by itself is intuitive. So you can say I gave the numbers wrong. It immediately intimated me that the maximum value should not be less than the target value. Okay, so that's how deluge. That's how creator is intuitive, and so that's all. So let us go and check the gauge here. So we can see it is showing we have 4 records. You want the target of 5, and the range maximum range is 6. So let me just rearrange it. So we can see, and let me just give one more Shivaguru. Shivaguru Zeus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so if I submit it, we can see the gauge reaching its target. And I say Guru. And if I submit it, we can see. So these are, so the gauges have few more customizations associated to them. We can see there are multicolor gauges. So we can see the gauge changes once we reach the target kind of thing. So we just go ahead and so you can see the gauge changes once we are based on the parameters which we are giving. So this is with the gauge, and the same can be done with charts as well. Let me grow. Let me create a bar chart. and the x data is going to be okay. Let's put it name in the x-axis and aggregate values total records in the y-axis. Done. So we can see, sorry, I just generated this graph. It is not having any solid data, so that is why it is showing in this way. If the data is right, and if we are given some transactional based data, we will be able to see the graph. So I'm just showing you how easy it is to create a graph or build a dashboard from the Zoho creators data. And then comes, we can add a search bar. So this search bar will be returning us with a value which can uh, so it is asking us do we want to search the result and pass it to a page, or we want it from getting searched from the search input. So I'm saying I want to search from the report. So name equals. So done. If I go for basics and if I enter, let me get the details which are available in the report. Okay, we have Surendra Manoj. Let me check for Surendra Manoj's what is the configure name. So let us go for small name Asha. Okay. Uh, yes, check. If search, you can see I'll get the report with only Asha. So the report gets filtered based on the input search string and the condition which has been given. And so then comes the forms and reports, as we discussed. The form. Just give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm really sorry about the background noise. Okay, so the forms and reports, as we discussed, it can be embedded from any application within our Zoho creators account. So similar to form, if I choose for application, it lists me all the applications which is available under my account. Okay, so I can add any report from any of the applications under my account. And then comes the button. Okay, so as we discussed, the button does all the actions which we discussed while we are creating a panel. So let me get a button into the system. And the button's actions, if you can see, it can open a URL, it can open a form, report, page, or it can execute a function. Okay, so that we can change the display here, we can change the style of the button, or we can also add elements to the sorry, we can't add elements to the button actually, sir. Okay, so that is the that is about the button component. Okay, and then comes the snippet and widget. So far whatever we have seen, right? So these are available in creators readily, so we don't have to do any coding at all. Okay, unless until we decide to do the coding, these components which I showed you doesn't require any coding at all in your application. Okay, but there are some cases where our requirements are not met by the pre-existing or like default options which are available in creator page. Right. So let us say I want in this panel. Let us take an example. Okay. So in the panel, if we go, we can see the options which we have are like some minimum, maximum, median, average, count, distinct count, and also what if I want to get a panel to display a data which is like specific to the person who is logging in. Okay, so based on the login user, I want this panel to display me the data. How is that possible? Or let us say there is a report, okay, and the report is having some 10 or 15 different columns, and I want to create a custom view for that report. I don't want the users to get into that report at all. I don't want them to access that. I just want them to see the data which is available in the report, but I don't want them to know what is exactly happening in that report. Okay, so in those cases, we can go ahead and build our own widgets. So we can use HTML, we can use ZML, and with the coming up JavaScript JS widget, it's like we can build or we can enhance the capability of creator itself. Let us say you want to embed a map. So there is a company which is offering you a service which can track the GPS location. Okay, and you want that to be done from creators application. So we can do that using JavaScript widget. Okay, so we'll be seeing a few examples of the snippets and JS widget in this part of the session. So the first snippet which you are going to take a look at is the HTML snippet. Let me create a new snippet, new page for this HTML snippet. Page, and we create a blank page. We call it as HTML. Okay, let me create a page. Okay, and we go to snippets and we just drag and drop the HTML snippet. It opens snippet. It opens a HTML editor area. Okay, again, so we can get the functions done using HTML. We can get the functions or the data manipulations done using deluge, and then pass the values to the HTML component which we are building, and that gives us more intuitive look to the data which we are showing. So let me just so we'll create a table. So we have this all details report, right? So we have this plain report, and this report has a lot of options. So we can edit, delete, duplicate. We can add records. We can filter and all. So what I'll do is I'll just create a view, a table with the data which is available in this particular report with no options. So even if I am embedding this report into the page, it will have all the options, and I have to go and manually control them. And the view of the page will not be entirely in my control. So let us just create a table which will show the data which is available in this particular form. Uh, so let me zoom in. So can you please confirm if my screen is visible? I'll type something. Okay. Can you please confirm that in the chat? I'll be there in a moment. And use see this. Okay, is my text clear? Is anyone having any issue in that? Oh, okay. So can anyone confirm if my text is clear in the chat? Okay. Okay, I'll take that as a yes, and I'll proceed forward. So while coming to HTML widget, okay, HTML or ZML widget, whatever deluge operations we do, okay, it happens between this tag. The opening tag is less than symbol percentage, and the closing tag is percentage and greater than symbol. So whatever deluge task we do, it has to happen within this particular section in our HTML or ZML widget. Okay, so the HTML or ZML part happens outside these tags. So whatever data which is done or available within this tag is considered to be deluge part. Okay, so let me just fetch the data first. And one more thing, so like what we have in normal deluge editor, so this HTML editor or the HTML snippet editor is not predictive. Okay, so in normal, if I say fetch is equal to from the details. So once I type DE, we'll see the details form getting populated below. I can just hit enter and move on. So that is not possible while we are coding a HTML or CML snippet. So but we have an option to support us. We have the option to refer fields. We can go ahead. We can choose the form from which we want the field to be, and we'll be given the field link names of each and every field which is available in that particular form. And we also have the versioning. So let us say there's the version 1 which is created. Now if I save again, I have okay, there's okay. So let me just save it. We can see there's another version which is created. I can roll back to the version anytime I want. Okay. So if I say I replace, the version gets replaced to the older one. And if you take a look at this version also, it gives us much more details. It's like the developer who created this version, the time and the date in which it is created. So it is showing 6:16 because my application is running in US data center, and I think it's 6:16 in the morning over there. Okay, so that is one facility which we have in case we write a code and we want an earlier version of this code. Every save which we make generates a new version history, and we can roll back to that. So let us get started. So I want the data from the details form. So this is the form link name. Let me just get it. So we can also see that in this refer the fields section. Okay. So let me just zoom in. Fetch is equal to. I'm doing the normal fetch task which we discussed earlier from this form. I just to paste it. I copied it, right. From this form, I say ID, which is not equal to 0, which means I'm getting all the records. Okay. So this is the only operation or the only action which I am doing doing within this tag right now. Okay. So okay, I think I deleted something. Okay. So now I'm closing this. It's closed with percentage and greater than symbol. Again, if I go ahead, I open it with so this is a normal. By default, it will have these two lines, these two tags open. Okay. So right now I have fetched all the details. Okay. So now if I go and reload it, HTML, I'm not having anything since we have not done anything. So let us go ahead and create a table. Okay, so let me just create a table. I think I have to create a body, right? Body. Just give me 1 second. Let's start with the div. And I close the div as well. Okay, so I have a confession to make. I'm not so good with HTML. So if I make any mistakes, so please bear with me. Okay, and if the output is not coming, you guys are obviously welcome to debug it. And so within this division, let me just create a table. And so I have to close the table. So the table has been created and closed. Okay. And after creating the table, I think I have to create the header. Okay. The head. And, the head, I created the head, and then we have to create a row. Here, yeah. Okay, table head and table row, and then we go for the table header. So I'm starting to do the. Okay, so let me give the header row here. Okay, so let's say th and name th. Uh, let's see. That will be, and the name. Then we go for email, then phone number. Let me just save this. Hope there's no error. Okay, save. Just let me just refresh and find out if there's anything. Okay, I have successfully created a hola. Okay, so then comes the table's body. Okay, so let me zoom in again. Uh, okay, table row has been created, table head has been created, and then I have created table body. And inside the table body, okay, I'll close that as well. And inside the table body, let me just create the table rows, and table rows. We'll get post it, and then we will say within the table rows we have to go for table column, right? So tv slash tv. And okay, so this is the place where we will be populating the values which we fetched from here, right? So we have got the fetch details. And, so let us go ahead and get that value over here. So we have to do a deluge script. So before we get into the before we pass the value to the table column, we have to do the for loop. So in the table body, let me open a tag and say, so we fetch the data. So for each uh, detail in fetch. So fetch is the collection which we have. So all the data and the details form has been stored in the fetch. So for each value in fetch, I'm just opening that, and I think I have to. I'll close the tag here. Okay, so this is within the this is the deluge tag. So here we'll be passing on this value. So it's like double percentage, and I say equal to. We are going to pass the value. So it is details dot name. So the name is the field link name. So even if we go and edit it, so that is the field link name, and we have email and phone number as well. So let me just refer to the fields, so we can see we have name, email, and phone number. Let me copy and paste it again. Save it. Okay, so instead of name, we go for email, and instead of name, we go for phone number. We should be careful with the naming since we don't get any prediction. So there's line number 27. Okay, so there's line number 27. I opened it. What's the error there? Okay, I opened this curly brackets, but I didn't close the curly brackets, right? So after tr, let me just close it. Okay, so let me just go ahead and refresh and see if the data is being populated. Okay, So we can see I have successfully populated the data. It is not having any HTML or CSS associated to it. And we'll try to style this a bit based on our requirement. Okay, so we can see if I add details here. So let us say we have 3 plus 3 6 details. If I add one more, and if I go ahead and say Abhi, and Abhinya's email is abhi at test.com, and I give our mail ID as mobile number is 89. You can write 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes. Okay. So if I submit it and if I go to the HTML section, so we can see the data getting populated. So let us try to apply some CSS to this. Okay. And coming to the CSS part of this HTML snippet, it allows only the inline CSS to it. Okay, we cannot write our CSS function in a CSS in a separate file and then call that into HTML. Okay, so those options are available only with the JS widget. Okay, so let me just get it and we'll start doing some CSS. Okay, I may not be good with CSS. Okay, let's start division style. So it starts from the division. Okay, here. Okay, let us style equal to padding, and let us say 180 pixel. 180 pixel and font size. Font size to be 25 pixel, and align. Getting saved. Yeah, it's getting saved. And let us get into the table head. Before we getting into the table head, let us give a caption. Okay. I'm really sorry since we don't have the prediction method, so my typing is like a bit slow. And size is equal to 3, and let us say employee details. Just close the font. Also the slash. Error now. Okay, let me just refresh it. Oh, okay. So we have some customizations happening. So that's we have the caption here. We have the name, email, and phone number given in bold. Okay, and so now let us go ahead and apply something for this header. Okay, so table head and scope is equal to, let us say, column, and column span is equal to 3. Okay, so I'll do the same for other sections as well. Let me just go ahead and refresh it one more time. We'll see what. Okay, so we have some CSS happening. Okay, I'll just remove this. Maybe this may be the problem. I'm not sure. Okay, so we have this. Okay. Okay, so let me go ahead and add a few CSS for this. Uh, so within the table, let us say td span equal to 2, and we try doing this for all span equal to 2. Appreciate. Okay, so now you can see it has been it has rearranged itself, so we can keep on adding CSS to it. Okay, so if I type the entire CSS, probably it will take like forever today. I'll just copy the CSS which is available. Okay, is my voice breaking? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, thank you. Is my voice breaking at any point? Do let me know. Okay. Our co-trainers will be like calling my name and asking me to make changes. So this is the CSS. I'll just copy this CSS alone and we'll paste it here. I think before the division, I will paste the CSS. So we can see this entire CSS is like inline CSS. I'm not calling the CSS from any file outside the HTML snippet. So the reason being is the HTML snippet will not be able to understand any file which is not inside it. So let me just save it. Hope there's no error. And now let us go and check. Uh, okay, so here we can see we have a table which is being customized based on our requirement. Like so, you can see the CSSs which we just pasted, and this CSS has let's say given it a new look. And this, although this is the report, the data available in this report are the same. It wouldn't have any actions which is associated to it unless and until we configure them. So it's like we completely restrict the access or functionality access to the particular report. The users can just see what is available, and the UI can be changed or merged along with the backend which we are using. Okay, so that is with the HTML part. And the next snippet which we'll be taking a look at is the ZML. Okay, so let me create a new page for that. So page, let me go for the blank page. We call it as ZML. I'm creating a new page here, and so in this example, as we discussed, we'll be creating a custom widget. Okay, so the concept is I'll be having a widget which is supposed to provide offers to the customers, and if they are repeated customers, we have to provide them more offers than the newcomers or one-time or two-time customers. So we'll create a ZML widget over here. Okay, so let me just okay, let me just keep a panel and we'll see the number of counts. Okay, and so again for this example, we are not filtering the data based on the login user ID. We'll be filtering the data based on the number of records which is available in the form. Okay, so the really how this works is the records will be filtered based on the logged in user's ID, and we'll check the count, and based on the count, the users will be given different what to say different discounts. Okay, why don't we try that itself? So I'll just edit the data. Okay, so I'll just edit the email. Let the email be srendra.srt0 srendra.srt0@zohotest.com, and updates. Okay, so there are two records with the email ID surendra.sr plus T0. Okay, so which means when I'm logging in, the system understands that I have two records associated with me. So let us say if I have more than two records, I'll be receiving a offer of like 10%. Okay, if I having less than or equal to two records, I'll be receiving an offer which is like 10% or something. Okay, so let us create a widget based on the login user's email ID. Okay, the functionality is pretty similar, and we'll just we don't need this widget panel right now. We'll delete it. Let me go to the snippet. We'll take a ZML snippet, and like I said, okay, it's zoomed in a lot. Okay. So like I said, whatever the deluge functionalities we have to do, it has to be done within these tags, and the ZML is normally enclosed within the panel. Okay. So let us quickly create a small ZML widget which is associated. And to get a detailed documentation of ZML, let me just take you through the documentations, and I will show you the structure of ZML before we start coding into ZML. Okay. So create ZML. Okay, ZML overview. So this link will be shared to you by our co-trainers. Okay. So the ZML, again, as I discussed, it is Zoho markup language. It is a proprietary language created by Zoho, and it is used to build a page. And so as we discussed, the page that has been built on Zoho Creator runs on various types of devices, and while we are using ZML on this device, while we are using ZML to build applications or build components, these components bringing the nativity behavior of the application rather than just resizing it. Okay, and so let us get started with the ZML tags first. Okay, so the first tag which we'll be taking a look at is the panel tag. So the panel tag is the tag which is like the outermost. Okay, so everything that has been included, or everything that has been designed will be enclosed within the panel tag. Okay, so let it be a panel row, panel column, everything. So if you take a look at the example, let me just take you to and okay, so basics. If we can go on page builder, let me just take a look at the code. We can see the entire code of this panel has been enclosed within the panel. Okay, so the panel is the starting and ending of any uh, component in ZML, and then comes the panel row. Okay, so if there are multiple rows, the panel will have a panel row which is having the tag of PR. Okay, so the next tag is the PR panel row, and the second tag within the panel row will be having multiple columns. So it is not mandated that every panel row which is available in ZML should have equal number of columns. So let us say the panel row 1 has 3 columns, and panel row number 2 can have 2 columns also. Okay, so we can see this panel. This panel has panel column included inside it, and inside the panel column we have multiple panel rows. Okay, so this is how the panel has been designed. So these are the maximum major tags. Apart from this, we have the tags like text, and the other tags such as prefix, suffix. We have the tags for images, and we also have the tag for button. Okay, so this this overview link about Zoho's ZML will be shared to you the chat by our co-trainers, and let's just get started with the ZML. Okay, so I'll take you through the documentation for a couple of minutes, and then we'll go for real-time loading. So we can see this is how the structure is normalized. Okay, so the moment we log in, or the moment we create a ZML snippet, we will be having this lines. Line number 1 and 2 will be stuck together, and the same line number 10 and 11. And the line number 2, which is having panel alone. Okay, so inside the panel, we'll be creating a panel row, and inside every panel row, we'll be creating multiple columns. So let us say the panel row is having only one column, then there is only one panel column. And inside the panel column is where we define the elements. So let it be a text or image or a button. So this gets defined inside that particular panel column. Okay, and so here we can see each panel must contain a panel row, and a panel column. Okay, so after this, only after the panel row, and panel column, we can include the elements such as text, image, or button, or anything. Okay, so so this is a actual example of or this is a 3D deconstruction of the entire panel. So the panel is the outer container. As we can see, it is the bottommost layer on which we are generating the panel row, and on the panel row we'll be having panel column. So one panel row can have more than one panel column, and the panel column again can have multiple panel rows and panel columns. It is not mandated that one panel column should have only columns associated to it. One panel column can again have multiple rows and columns associated to it. So we can see that in this example, we can see there is a panel which is having a panel row and a panel column. Inside this panel column, again we are having the panel rows and panel columns. Okay, so that is how it's very simple. The number of tags which is available is very limited. Okay, rather than going for like massive number of tags like HTML, ZML has very limited number of tags. And earlier, when we were declaring the sizes, it was like we were defining them in case of points. So that the range was from 1 to 9. We had very limited number of sizes for text. Okay, so in the line number 8, if you can see, now it has been defined as pixels. So we can now define the size of the text in pixels, but earlier it was like the size could be mentioned like 0 to 9. So let us say if it's 4, the system will assign by we had a default calculation, and the size of the text will be assigned based on that. It's shifted to pixel based sizing, and yeah, so that is about the panel. So let us get back to our scripting, and we'll start coding our first ZML snippet. Okay. Okay. So let me just close this. CML. Okay, snippets, and we go for ZML snippet. Okay, so again, like we discussed, in as in HTML, ZML also is not having any predictive help for us. Okay, so it is again like the pretty straightforward function, and so let me just start with the deluge part of this. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to fetch all the data which is available in this particular report. Whose email ID? Let me just refresh. So we'll see. Okay, so whose email ID is matching with the logged in user's email ID. So to say who's the login user. Okay, so here it is. So if you can see, the logged in user's email ID is soinda.sr+tc.zoho.com. So I'll say whichever email ID is matching this logged in user's email ID, fetch all those records, check the count, and if the count is greater than 2, give this person a 20% discount. If the count is less than or equal to 2, give this person a discount of some 10%. Okay, we'll get started with that. Okay, so I'm starting with the deluge part. Let us say fetch is equal to from the details. The details from ID is not equal to 0, and from this I'm going to say I'm going to get all the. So we don't go for ID is not equal to 0, right? We go for email is equal to Zoho.login. Sorry. Email is equal to Zoho dot login user ID. Okay, and from here I want to get the size. Okay, to get a size, let us just get one particular variable dot name dot get all. Okay, so we have all the names obtained, and now let us go ahead and check if we have the let's say. Now let us check the size of this collection. So let us say if before getting into the curly braces, we have to give the condition. So let us say if fetch dot size. Fetch dot size is greater than 2. Let us say discount equal to, let's construct a string here. Okay, I'll say I user, you are premium, you are special for us. Okay, we have given to this discount of 20% on your purchase today. Okay. So let us say if the size is more, if the size is greater than 2, we'll say, hey user, you are so special for us, so we have given a percentage discount of 20% today. And again, like any other delivery script, we have to end it with a semicolon. And since it's a if, let us write a else condition. Else, we'll say discount. It's the same variable name, right? Yeah, okay. Welcome back. Welcome back, user. Good day. You offer of 10% in any purchase you make. Okay, so now what we have done is we have fetched this details. We have got a collection which is having all the detail, all the records whose email ID is matching with my with the login user's email ID, and I'm getting the name. So the reason I'm getting the name is this will be like the collection. So if I'm just putting the fit, I should give the count here. So okay. So if I'm putting the name and get all, the output will be in the form of a list where I do the size. If I don't put the dot name dot get all, it will be in the form of collection, and we can do the count of records or count of elements in the collection. Okay, so that is the only difference here. So you can also do it without name dot get all. And this is a sample snippet which I'm building. Okay, so okay, so now we have the discount here. Let us start constructing our panel. And as we discussed, the first component which is required is the panel row. And I'm opening and closing the panel row here. And the next one, which is mandatory, is the panel column. Panel column. Panel column. And then we go for a text which is within the panel column. So let us say text and slash text. Okay, so now we will pass this discount value inside the text. Okay, so this is the text element, so we'll pass the variable Again, since this variable is a deluge output, so what we are going to do is we are going to close it within the tag, and I'll say equal to discount. Okay, so this is the variable, and we are passing the variable discount as a value. So let me just zoom out and check if there's any error. Okay, there's no error. Let me just reload this page. I am reloading Cml. Okay, so it is saying text value. So there's something we have missed it. The text has been opened and closed. So there's a panel. Just give me 1 second, guys. So there's a panel. The panel row we have opened and closed, and okay, just let me get a sample code from here. Okay, so this is a sample code which will display the text value here. Okay, uh, let me just replace it. Okay, if I save, there should be no error. Okay, just copy pasted it, and okay, it is saying projects. If I go ahead and replace this text value, okay, text value. Okay, so the mistake which I did earlier was I didn't put the value inside quotes. Okay, single quotes. You can see, right. So this value should also be placed inside the single quotes. Earlier I didn't do that. I just passed on the variable discount. Okay, so if I save this, let me just refresh it. Okay, so it's saying, okay, I have 10% discount. Okay. Oh, okay, so that's so okay. I don't know why I typed it. Okay, so purchase you make today. So if I go ahead and refresh it, okay, so it's saying welcome back, user. You have a offer of 10%. Okay, let us embed a form to this page, and let's find the panel changing dynamically. Okay, and going to form. Okay, so this is the form I want to embed. Done. Uh, so if I reload it, okay. So let me add one more record to this form. Okay, we'll see the change. I'll say Nathan, and let the email ID be surengo.sr+t0.zoho and let us remove everything to be 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's choose. Just submitting it. Okay, so you can see the discount percentage getting changed automatically. So hi user, you are special for us. We have given a discount of 20% on a purchase on your purchase today. So that's how we can build custom panels or custom components for a page using ZML. And so as we discussed, if we go for reduce the size of the page, so you can see the I have not structured this panel correctly. If we if we have given the proper structuring, we will be able to see the components getting rearranged. I think here it will work. Uh, okay, we can see the components getting restructured, right? So it is a lot of developers, and it's not just the pages getting reduced in size. You can see the components have rearranged themselves one and the other. So that is the advantage which we are getting while we are doing our programming using ZML. Okay, and then comes our the latest and the most powerful widget creator, that is JS widget. So far what we have seen is the capabilities which we can do, but these components cannot give us any capability enhancement. So let us say I want to bring a third-party website, third-party information from a third-party website into my panel, and those kind of things are not possible. Okay, so with the advent of the JavaScript widget, we have the option to bring that. Let me just okay. So this is the panel which we discussed pages. I think we covered a lot of these. We had the demo. So then we are coming back to the JavaScript widget in Zoho Creator. So as we discussed, widget is used to extend the capability so that we could perform tasks that we could not accomplish using the built-in functions. So yesterday, someone was asking me whether we can apply CSS to the forms which is available, right? So the answer to that question, I would have typed it to so this for everyone to know. We can Zoho Creator is a low-code platform, so the existing components which we are now holding, the UI customization is what is allowed to you. Okay, we cannot do any custom CSS or custom what to say custom UI changes to the existing forms. But if you are mandated, if you really feel that you need a custom component, custom UI for your form or a report, you can build your own form using the JS widget. Okay, so JS widget allows you to run or get the stylings from an external CSS file. Let it be the Bootstrap or Google CSS or Facebook CSS. You can get the CSS from URL and all kind of UI component customization can be done using the JavaScript widget. Okay, it is not possible in while using HTML or CML, and the same is not possible, definitely not possible if you are trying to customize the UI of a form or a report, because those components are uh, handled or taken care uh, by the system by default. Okay, so the main reason for getting into Zoho Creator is like Zoho Creator abstracts a full stack development to the code. Okay, it's not like the abstracts only the back end or only the front end. Creator abstracts the entire full stack development. It takes care of the server, it takes care of the database. Once we add a form, add a field to a form, a field in the backend database is also automatically created. We are not doing any configuration. So that is the reason why we are going for Creator. So in that case, the UI customization is also limited to what is available. But coming to the case of JavaScript widget, we can go ahead and build our own JavaScript based widgets. Okay, and we all know JavaScript is a client side programming language, which means the load will not be pushed into the server, and whatever the data transfer which is happening between the JavaScript widget and your actual form, it wouldn't come under the API calls limit. Okay, you can make any number of API calls between your JavaScript widget and your creator form. Okay, so it's not like external component. Once you host the JavaScript widget inside creator, it becomes like a default or inbuilt component of creator. So the data transfer won't consume your API call limits per day. And the next one is the widget capabilities. Okay, we can create and customize features that are specific to our application. So let us say there is we have a set of charts, right? But let us say you want to create a Gantt chart, okay, which is not readily available in Zoho Creator, but your app is mandating that you need a Gantt chart, so you can build a Gantt chart using JavaScript widget. Okay, and we can also redefine the way our application interacts with our customers. Okay, so uh, we can bring in various ways. So I'm not getting the exact example for this. Okay, so to take the example honestly, like if there are some components which are not available in Zoho Creator, you can have that front end built in the JS widget, and the data while it is being passed can be passed in the same data type which we are handling in our creator form. So that gives you more interactions, and widget can also be incorporated with third-party apps. Okay, let us say you want to bring a Google Map embed inside a JavaScript widget, or there is a service uh, which is offering you like to track the GPS locations of the application, or there's a chatbot which is available in a third-party service, and you want that to be brought inside your creator application. Yes, those things are also possible. Okay, and so this is how exactly JS widget works. So we can build the HTML, CSS, and JS codes, and we can pack our widget, post it in Zoho Creator. The data transfer happens to and fro between Zoho widget and so JavaScript widget and Creator. And this data transfer is not limited by this data transfer will not consume the API calls you make to your what's it to your application. Okay, so it won't exhaust your daily API limits. So this is the screenshot which will show you where we can go and post the JS widget. Before we getting into this part, we'll go ahead and find out. We'll take a look at a small overview of what JS widget is, what are the prerequisites which is required, and then we'll start building a widget. Then we'll come to posting the JavaScript widget. Okay, and it's just out of curiosity. Okay, so I think someone's voice is still breaking. Okay. Oh, okay. 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 If my voice is breaking again, please inform the co-trainers and they will intimate me so that I can make a few changes. And sometimes you may think like my voice is breaking. It's like I might have given a pause while talking. Okay, so also please take a look for that as well. Okay, so we'll start with JavaScript widget. Okay, so create base widget. So this is the link which this link has the entire detail about the JavaScript widgets capabilities, what they can do, and what are the things what are the limitations we have regarding that. Okay, so the first one is like we can redefine the app interface, and when we say we can redefine the app interface, this can be given. This gives you control only over the page. Okay, it doesn't give you the control over the entire application. So the reason why we say redefine the app interface is like or we can build a widget which can mimic the entire application. I'll show you a small example in a few minutes where Zoho themselves have built a new application or a small sample widget which can do multiple functionalities. So that is why we say we can redefine the applications interface. So it doesn't mean that we can go ahead and gain control of the entire application's UI. Okay, it can also incorporate the third parties as we discussed. Okay, so there are third party creators which offers some of the functionality which is not readily available with us. And one more thing about this JavaScript widget is we will not allow Ajax calls to be done from the JS widget, okay, due to security reasons. But there are some third-party applications which are offering you services which can be just obtained by embedding that those what's it So those widgets can be just obtained by embedding them into the JavaScript widget. Okay, and from here we can do the user interactions. So let us say that in case of finding distance between two different points in a map. Okay, so this functionality has been offered to you by Mapbox, I think, and there it's not about the API call. They have a completely UI based control system where we can just interact the UI and it is embed. So it's like directly we are interacting with the map box. We are not using a API call or Ajax call. Okay. So we'll be taking a look at those examples as well, how we can bring in those functionalities into create this JavaScript widget. Okay, the first step in starting to build a JavaScript widget is to install the command line interface. Okay, so there are a few prerequisites to install the command line interface. Co-trainers will be sharing you this link in the chat, so please do have this link to follow me. Okay, so it's mandated that we should have the node and npm installed in our system. So let me open the terminal. Okay, I'm really sorry about the size. I don't know how to increase the size of my terminal. Is it okay? Okay, I found out. Only today I found out that command plus is going to increase the size of the terminal. So, hope everyone is able to see my terminal clearly. So the first one is like we should have the node and npm installed. So to check that, we'll execute the commands node version and npm version. Okay. So node hyphen version. Okay, so it is. I'm having a node version of 12.18 or 18.13. Okay, and then we also check the npm version. And npm version is 6.14.7. If you don't have the node or npm installed, you have a lot of documentation which are available in the internet. You can check and find out and install node and npm in your machine. So node and npm are like mandatory to start building up or installing the command line interface of the JavaScript widget. Okay. And then comes the command line interface. Since I have already installed this command line interface, I will not run this command one more time. So it will be like npm install -g Zoho extension toolkit. Okay. So once we execute this, the command line will get the terminal will install the command line interface. Sometimes you may get error. Okay, sometimes the system will not allow you to install this or install the Zoho extension toolkit. In that case, please try installing this as administrator. Since I'm using Mac, and if you are using Linux, we can go as sudo npm install -g Zoho extension toolkit. Okay, if you are Windows, I'm not sure about the command. I think we have to switch over the account and log in as administrator. So I'm not so sure what the procedure is. Okay, if it's a Mac or Linux, please add sudo, and that gives you the admin rights. And using this sudo password, you can go ahead and the system allows you to install without any issue. Okay, and once the command line interface has been installed, we can verify that by entering the command Z. Okay, Z is I think it's a short form of Zoho extension toolkit. I'm not sure. Okay, I think that is the one. So let me go ahead and install the command Z. Enter. So we can see that all the options are available. If I want to help, I can just go ahead and say Z hyphen H. Z hyphen H, and it gives me all the options which are available with command line interface. So Z init initiates it, Z run, Z validate, Z pack, and if I say ZV, it gives me the version of the Zoho extension toolkit which has been installed in my system. And then comes, we can start creating a project. Okay. So to start building a project, the first step we have to do is to initiate the command line interface, which we can do it using z init. Once I enter it, this command line interface is not specific to creator. It is you can use it to build JavaScript widget for other projects of Zoho as well. So let me go ahead and select creator. So if you want this, but the format or the backend compilations for each and every application is different. So I'm going ahead and selecting creator. Okay. So before I go ahead, I'll just navigate to my desktop. If not, I'll be having trouble looking at it. Okay. So CD desktop. So it is a okay. So this is mine. So now I say z init, and I go for creator, and I give the project name as E2E day 3. Okay. So if I go ahead, and you can see there is a folder which has been created. It's E2E day 3. It will have all the necessary folders and files associated to it. Okay. And okay, so now I have this folder. So the next step is to get into this folder and then run my Z server. Okay, so I'll say Z E2E A3. Now I go for ls. Now I'm inside my E2E Day3 folder, and now I'm going to run my Z server. So Z server is a local host server which allows us to access or test a JavaScript widget which we are creating in real time. Okay, so let me just go ahead and say Z run enter. So we can see the local host is running in 127.0.0.1 and the port number is 5000. Let me copy this and go to my Chrome, paste it. Advanced, okay, yeah. Okay, let me open in a different browser. Open in Firefox. So let me get this. Okay, so it is not a secure connection, so Google Chrome is not allowing me to do. So now you can see in this particular URL, I have this app folder, and I can go and access this widget. So let me just go change the content of the particular HTML file. Okay, so getting into app widget.html, I'll just edit it, open with Sublime text, and I'll say okay, I'll just say okay. I think this will refresh. Let me just say okay. So every change which I am making in this widget.html file is getting reflected in the browser, since it is running a local URL. So we are running it. And before we start building our JS widget, there's one more thing which is very crucial or mandatory we have to take care. So we started this folder, right? So we have it, and once we successfully complete it, we can validate. But before that, we have to add the JavaScript SDK. Okay, just let me get the JS SDK link. It's here. So creating my first widget. Okay, so we have the command line interface installed, and then we have to download the JS SDK library. Okay, so it is in the point 8 of the documentation. So I'm just right clicking it and save linkers. Okay, it is having the JS SDK library. And so, okay, here I have to do. Okay, so save linkers. So it is giving me the SDK library directly. Okay, I'm saving it. Show and find out. Okay, so this particular SDK file has to be included in my application folder. Okay, and make sure you are including the latest SDK file. Okay, so it is available in the documentation. Okay, and after doing this, we can go ahead and start building our application or start building our widget. Okay, and so we can see the widget has been built using HTML and CSS. And in this application, if we can see, we have uh, translations. We will be able to see external CSS. Okay, we are not having the external CSS right now. Okay, and since we are almost nearing the lunchtime, I'm not going to start with building the JS widget now. I will show you guys a sample widget which has been created by Zoho creator team, and it's been given hosted here. And the link to that particular widget will also be shared in the chat. I'll just here you can see in this link, if you can see sample widget, so we can see the zip file available. Just let me get that file. App test. Okay, app test 2. I think that is. I have downloaded multiple versions. I'll just go to my creative application. I'll create a new file, new page, and I'll call it as JS sample. JS sample. I create the page. Done. So hosting this application, right? So I can go to settings. In the settings under developer tools, we can see the option called widget. Okay, I'm creating a new widget. I'm giving the name to the widget. Let's say demo sample. So we have two types of hosting: the internal hosting and external hosting. Okay, so the internal hosting is like what we just host the application, host the JavaScript widget into the application server. We don't hold that. But the external hosting, we use it while we are testing the application. Okay, or while we are testing the JavaScript widget. I'm really sorry, I'm twisting. So the internal hosting is when we are hosting the JavaScript widget inside the application of creator, and the external hosting is right. So when we are developing the application, we will be using the external hosting, and we'll be just pointing the index file. That's what I should be able to give the. Okay. So we'll be pointing to that index file. So while we are pointing that index file, it will be including along with the IP address. Okay. So if we can see, I should include my entire IP address like this. Okay. If I have to do the external hosting, and we should also we should not have any network-based restrictions in our system, so that creator can directly we can directly look at the changes or impacts which are happening in the widget which we are creating for our Zoho creators creator form. And then I'm going to upload my file here. App test2.zip is what I downloaded just now. I think the index name is index.html. So this index name, right? So this is the name which we are giving for the index file which we are having inside the app. So inside this is my E2E day 3 widget folder, and inside the app I have this HTML file, and this widget.html is the file to which I have to point my index file. Okay, so I'll just say slash index.html. because this is the name of the HTML file they have used while building this JS widget. Okay, let me just create it. Okay, getting into design, basics, JS sample, JavaScript sample. Let me open the page builder, and under widgets we can see the demo sample widget. Okay, let's just keep it, and voila. So here we can see this is a sample JavaScript widget which has been built by Zoho creators team, and we can see we have the option to add record, update record, get all. So get specific. So we can have multiple forms here. Okay, and all these forms, instead of just giving them access to the entire application, we can simply go ahead and give them access to this but one single page, and the all the forms can be given a new front end look. You can see if you want to add a record, so I can customize the colors, I can customize the fonts, the field look and feel, everything. It can be customized, but the data which has been transferred, if I say, if I give the details and if I click on add record, the data will be transferred to my creator's original form, which means the user who's using our application doesn't have to interact with the actual form. Okay, so we can build our own customized forms with JavaScript widget, and it can be shared to the users so that they can it can interact with the form directly. So even if you want to update the record, so this is like it fetches the record and then it updates that particular record. Okay, so that is the kind of power which we are looking at JavaScript widget. And to give a few more example of what JavaScript widget can do, let me show a few examples that we have already built, and probably if time permits, we'll discuss a few of them as well. Needs organization. Okay, so this is the Mapbox extension. So I have the file downloaded here. Okay, so this is the Mapbox index file open with Sublime text. So here we can see the Mapbox has given its service in the form of embed. Okay, I can just go ahead and embed it in an iframe and put that into the JavaScript widget. And there are also some other functionalities which can interact with creators' data. So here we can see this live layer example. I think. So here we can see the show gradient live layer, right? So if I click on that, we get the Mapbox gradient layer output. Okay, we can see the pitch is what controls the depth of the image. Okay, we can see the image is like too deep, right? So let me just go ahead and control the pitch. I'll just edit and control the pitch to 60. We'll be seeing the change in the 3D depth of the image. Okay, so you can see how it is starting, right? So it is like too zoomed out, and even when we are getting, so we see the change in depth. It is not like that deep on how we were viewing when the pitch was like 150. Okay, so it is like a bit zoomed out, and so this data, we can see we are changing the data in creators form. So this all gradient layer is a report of a particular form, and we are having a custom action button. On click of that action button, we are opening a JavaScript widget as a pop-up, and that is providing us with the details. So by changing the data which is available in our creators form, we are changing it. and still this is not an API call. Okay, so it is like we have embedded that into the widget, and widget is getting the data, and it is transferred to that particular what to say particular service, and we are using it. Okay, so that is the capability of JavaScript widget, and we'll. I think it's almost lunchtime. I think it's 12:56. So we will break for lunch now. Okay, we'll reconvene back by 2:30, where I'll be showing you a few example of how we can build a JavaScript widget and communicate with our form, and I'll be also showing you how to whitelist a domain and get the data from third-party source or even from other applications of Zoho Creator. Okay. So with this, I'm closing the session for today morning. So right now, today morning we discussed a lot about JavaScript widget and its capabilities, right? So how we can set up a JavaScript widget, what are the requirements we have to have while we are installing, while we are starting to build a JavaScript widget, how to do the widget SDK and all, right? So we also saw a few examples of how the third-party applications are brought into Zoho Creator using JavaScript widget. And now in this session, we'll be coding a basic widget from using JavaScript, which can be used to transfer data from the widget to creator. So we'll be using the same form we created today morning. We'll be building a JavaScript function, and then we'll be packing the widget and hosting it in our application. So let's get started. So this is the application, or this is the widget we created. So E2E day 3, inside which under the application we have added our SDK, JavaScript SDK, which we downloaded from our creators sample widget link. And then we have the widget.html, and this widget.html is the file which gets accessed or used when we are hosting the application. So like we started a local server, right? So this is the local server which is accessing the widget.html page. So let me just rearrange the desktops. Okay. So let me open it with the text editor. Open with, and I'll open it Sublime Text. You can open it with any text editor you want. Okay. And so let us start with the body. So before we getting into the body, we have to add the script. Okay, so script, okay, text JavaScript. This is one, and we have to add one more script. Sorry, script source. We have to add the source. Source SRC. Script source, we have to add it as widget SDK dot. So the file name which we copied, so it is widget SDK under hyphen min.js. So we have to make sure that this widget SDK hyphen min.js is available inside the app folder, and we have to point that as the script source. So let me just type widget SDK hyphen min.js. Okay, so we have added our scripts. Now let us go ahead and build our body. So the body is the form which we use to collect the data. And so let me go ahead and say user details. user details is what the data which has been collected, and so let us add a few fields. So we are going to pass data to the form which we created today morning, and it's this is the form. So this details form is the form to which we are going to pass the data. So it is having three fields: name, email, and phone number. Okay. So we'll be creating three input fields in the JavaScript widget and transferring the data from the JS widget to this form. So let me create a form with three widgets. So I'll say form, and the form ID, let me give it as add record. And so let me add the first field, first input field. Let us say it's profile name. And we give it as input, and the input type is going to be text, and the name of this particular input field is going to be profile name. And okay, let me take this to the next line. So it's break. I'm opening a break here. So I'm going to copy the same, and I'm going to construct the phone number field and email field as well. Okay, profile name, and so this one name, or the profile name, we change it into email. We say email, and we give the input as text, input type as text, and the name as email. And then comes the phone number. Phone number, and the input type is going to be text, and the name is going to be phone number. Okay, so we have constructed our form. Let me close the form tag. Okay, and the body tag has been closed. Let me just save it, and let's run it here. So now we can see we have three input fields: profile name, email, and phone number created. And now let us go ahead and create a button. Okay, so now we need a submit button, right? So let me create a button. Input type button, and the name is going to be submit, or add record. Okay, so we are going to put the name as add record, and we let me just save and check. Okay, there's a button, so we have to pass the value. Okay, value is equal to record. Save, and if I refresh it, okay, so we have a add record button. Okay, so on click of this add record, right? So we have to transfer the data from this JS widget to our how to say, we have to transfer the data from this widget to our creator form. So let us go ahead and write a function which can be called while we are clicking this particular how to say, while we are clicking this button, let us go ahead and create a function call. And this function call can be obtained from the widget documentation. So let me go ahead and understand widgets. I think it's in create your first widget. Okay. So here we can see the JavaScript API documentation. So whatever the documentation or whatever the functions we want to do using the JavaScript widget can be obtained from here. And this link will be shared to you in the chat by our co-trainers. So let us go ahead and create a few functions. So let us say in this we need to find out add record API. Okay. So to add a record, we need these parameters. So we need the form name and the data structure. So the data structure. So this is a sample example which we have. Okay. So here we can see we have created a variable configuration where we have given the form name as the key value pair, and the data is the form data. The form data is in the form of a map, and we are calling this Zoho creators add record configuration. Okay. So this is the input structure in which we are passing the form data. Okay. So we will not be going through the entire process. So let me take you through a simple add record. Okay, so we have three different fields. We'll be constructing a map using those fields. So we'll be having the form data, and inside the form data, we'll be having data as the key, and these three fields along with their values as a collection, and this collection will be transferred to creator form. Okay, so let us go ahead and start building. Now we have completed our body, and we will be starting to build our script. So we have the script type as JavaScript, and let me create a function here. Okay, function insert record. Okay, and so let's open it, and we have to call this function on submit of this on click of the submit button, right? So let us go ahead and call that function as well. So after the add record, let me give the space and insert record. Okay, so we are calling this function as well. So let us go ahead and start building this function. So in this function, the first one is to initiate the Zoho creator. So it is Zoho, it's in caps, right? So the first step is to initiate the Zoho creator, zoho.creator.init. So let me get it. Zoho.creator.init. Okay, and once we init, then we go for dot. So let me get the indentations. And the next one is to dot then. Then we give the function name. Okay, so let's say dot then and function. Okay, so now within this function we are going to add a curly bracket, and let us get the values which we are feeding into this these fields. So we have three fields, right? Let us get these values by ID. So let me just okay. So first we what you say is var we get the profile name, or we get the name. Okay, so name is equal to document dot get element by ID. Get elements by ID. So let's get it by name. and the name of the element is going to be profile name. Right, so here we have given the name as profile name, or we can give it as name simply. Okay, so it's going to be name. Okay, single quote. And we get the index of 0 dot value. Okay. We do the same for email and phone number as well. Okay, so let me just copy this. And we go for email and phone number. So email, and let me give the name as email, and we go for phone number. Phone number, and we also give the name as phone number. So now we have collected this the values of these elements. So we have got the name of the input of the component name, and we have stored the same in the variable name. Okay. So now let us try logging it. So if I go ahead and say I would like to see the data. So let us say console.log. Let me just get the proper name. Okay, so it's name plus email. Okay, so E is capital. So email, and then we go for the phone number. Okay, so let me just save it. Okay, I think there's a semicolon here as well. Just go ahead and reload it. I click inspect element console here. Okay, so profile name Manoj, and email surrender@test.com. Phone number 9988998899. If I click on add record, okay, it's not getting triggered. Insert record, we have 100 posters, so then the function. Okay, so let us construct, and I think we have to. Okay, let us construct this further, and I'll check. And let's see whether it is coming in the console when we are inserting the data. Okay. So let us say form data. Form data is equal to, we have to construct a JSON structure, or we have to construct a collection. Let me say data, and to this data again I'm giving a JSON as a value. So let me get the name. So here the thing is, the keys or the right hand side of the JSON structure should be the field link name of the field to which we are going to pass the data. So let me just go to that application, and details. So the first field is going to be the name, and I'm copying the field link name, and that is going to be the key. and the value is going to be our variable, so it's name, and then we have to go for email, and email, and then we have the phone number. Phone number, phone number. So now we have our JSON structure, and now let us go ahead and put the JSON structure in a different variable. So let us say so the steps which I'm following is available in the documentation. If you can see, so here we can see the here it is, okay. So we have the all the step-by-step procedures. So what are the things we have to do while we are trying to add a document, and everything is here. Record paste, add record. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so first we are constructing the config, and then we are passing the config as a input to the AJAX call or the API, JS API call which we make. Let me just construct it. Where config is equal to form name. Form name is going to be details, and the data is going to be form data. Okay. So we have now we have the form name and form data, and let us go ahead and do our record API. Let's go ahead and add the API call. So we'll start like so here we have Zoho creator API add record config, right? So let me go ahead and construct that part. So this is the part where we are adding the record to creators form using the API. So it is Zoho.creator.add record. So we have this variable config, right? So we are going to pass this as the parameter here. Config dot then function and functions response. We are going to response. And maybe it's okay. And then we are going to log the console. So it's console.log code and plus response.code. So we are getting the response from this API call, and we are simply just getting the code, and now we are checking if this code is success. So the success code for creators record addition is 3000. If response.code is equal to 3000, and then we are going ahead and say console.log record added successfully. Okay, and let me just save this. I think Okay, maybe it's because API call and it is not running in the local server correctly. Let us try and upload this widget. Okay, so we have constructed our script, and I think let us just check it one more time. I have closed the head script and I have closed the script from script tag as well, and I don't see any error. So this one is opened and closed here, and okay, this curly bracket is open and closed here. So before that, this is open and closed here, and form data. Okay, data is here. So I think we have okay, console.log. I think uh, okay. So here I think it's a semicolon. I missed it. So okay, I saved it. So now let us go ahead and pack this, and let us try to upload this widget and see if we are getting a success response. So let me just stop this local server. Okay, so let me ls. So I'm in the correct folder, and let us say z validate. So z validate is the command which validates your function. So in the first widget, if you can see. Uh, So here we can see once we are done with the construction of the widget, we can go ahead and say it's z validate. Okay, so based on this command, we'll see if the application is having any violations to the JS widget policies of creator. So let me just go ahead and validate it. So there is no validation rules which has been violated. So in the desktop, we can see D2, D3 application. So if I pack this, and so here we can see there's no destination folder, right? So once I pack this particular widget, we'll see there's a folder named as destination created, and inside that uh, we'll have the zip file which is containing the widget which we are supposed to post. So let me go ahead and say zip pack. So the extension has packed the file successfully. So if you can see, there's a folder called destination, inside which I have the zip file e2 e-day3 .zip. So let me just copy this to this desktop. And now let us get into our application. I, I really hope this works. So I'm going to settings, widgets. So I'm creating a new widget. I'm naming it as demo build, and it's internal hosting. So I'm browsing for the zip file. So it is the e2 e-day3 zip file, and the index file is slash widget.html. Okay, so I'm creating it. Let us go to design. Let me create a new page, and we call it as JS build demo. And in the widgets, if you can see, there's a demo build widget which is available. Let me just drag and drop the demo build widget, and just go to the live mode. Just for pushing. Yes, widget demo build. We have our profile name, email, and phone number. Let me just go to console and see if we are getting proper responses. And let me put the profile name as Stella, and email as stella@ace.com, and let me give the mobile number as 8877998866. And if I click on add record, it's not working. Just give me a second. Let me check why it is not working. Okay, so insert record, or it's capital. So the function which we are supposed to call, I think it's the name is insert record. The R is capital, and we gave it as small record. Let me do the process one more time. Okay, so I'll delete this widget. Done. Go into settings. So actually, the thing is, right now I'm having some restrictions, so that is why I'm not able to test it with external hosting. So if I was able to test it with external hosting, I wouldn't have this problem. I can simply go ahead and give my app URL, and I'll be able to test the widget directly from external. But there's some security block which is in my system, which is not allowing to fetch the data from external. So let us try it one more time. Try to, and let me. We have to go and pack that particular file. So we'll do the same process. Set validate one more time, and set pack. So now we have a new zip file. I'll delete this old one. Okay, so it's here. Let me just upload the same one more time. Day 3 save open slash widget.html. Let me create it. Design JS build demo. Okay, let me just reload this page. Okay. Yes, is hello. Is someone saying something?
Surinder, sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
So just wanted to know if you go to the HTML code, I think just one on click is missing. Otherwise, everything else is fine.
Okay.
In the button action.
Okay, input button. I have given it, right? So it's
On click is equal to insert record. I think that's the only thing that's missing.
okay. Let me just check. Okay. Let
Sure.
me just check. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll just check and I will find out. So it's email, Stella at yes dot com. Phone number 99887766. Yeah, I think on click equal to right. So I'm saving this, and I'm really sorry. We have to do the same one more time. I'm really sorry about this. Uh, don't know why I'm making such mistakes today. Widgets. Try to delete. Okay, again a new widget. The name, let us give this type 3, and let us upload the widget file. Save and slash widget.html. Create and design JS build demo. If I add record, okay, so there is some error. Name is not defined. Okay, line number 14. Okay. Okay, so really team, I really wanted to make this work, and it seems like I have made a lot of bugs here. So this is the process in which we actually create a widget and we post it. Okay, so right now what we are trying to do is we have tried to get the fields values from these input fields and then pass this value to create a form. Okay, so for that I'll explain the code one more time. So this is the code. I think there are some minor capital and small mistakes and a few words missing. Uh, so what we have done is first we have constructed the form here. So this is the form which we use to collect data from from the JS widget, and then we have started with Zoho creators init function. We have got all the values from these input fields in a variable, and I have tried to log this in the console. But the thing is, we mismatched with the name, and I am sure the email is also mismatched. And phone number, I think is both the same. Name, email, and phone number, and then we have constructed a JSON structure, or we have constructed a map where we can see the form data is the key, and within which we have the data as the key, and again the name, email, and phone number as key value pairs. The name in these right hand side are the field link names of the fields which are available in the form, and the left hand side are the variables which we collected from the input fields. And then we are initiating this in the config, and this config has been passed as a parameter to add record API. And from this API, we are getting the response, and we are getting the code of that particular response. And from this response code, we are testing if this code is equal to 3000. 3000 is the success code. And if it is equal to 3000, and then we are saying, okay, so the record has been added successfully. Okay. So, and this function, this insert record function has been called on click of the JavaScript widget. I'm sorry, on click of the button input. Okay. So let me save it one more time, and this is the last try. If it is not working, we are moving to the next topic. Okay. Uh, okay. So let me validate one more time. Okay. Let me track it again. So if I go ahead, I see the EC day 3. Let me just delete this older one. Okay. Let's not delete that. Let us add a new settings, widgets, and new widget. Let us say typo. Okay. Day3.zip and slash widget.html. Get it. Okay, so let me go to the design, open the page builder. Just type widget and typo. Okay, before starting, it's showing some error. Let us see. Stella, stellartest.com, and calling the page add record. Okay, it's still having issue. Okay, so the issue is okay. So this is the process, my friends. So I think I have made some issues, mistakes in the code, and let's not spend more time on debugging this one single application, so that we'll miss out the rest of them. So now we have taken a look at how we can build a JS widget and how we can upload the same in Zoho Creators application. So now let us go ahead and see how we can bring in the services from other websites which are not from Zoho Creator. So let it be a Zoho application or like a third-party service. So let us understand how we can do them. Okay. So first service which you are going to see is the Sales IQ. Let me just close the unwanted tabs. So this is the Sales IQ login of mine. So I have it's salesiq.zoho.com. Okay. So here, the moment I log in, so they have given me an embed code which I can embed within the script tag. Okay. So I can just copy this code and add it to the script tag, and this script tag will allow me to have a Sales IQ chatbot in my creator application. Okay, so here it's not like we are making any Ajax call or API call. It's simply that chatbot can be embedded within my widget. Okay, so if I do it just like that, it won't work. So let me give you an example of that. So let us say again, let us say Z init, and I'm setting it to creator. The project name is, okay. First, we have to come to Z init, and it's creator, and the project name is Sales IQ. Okay, CD Sales IQ, and then I can run that init. Z, okay, I have the local host running. So let me go ahead and open the Sales IQ and go to the widgets. Sales IQ application and widget.html. So I have to get the JS widget as well. I'll just take the JS widget from my previous example, copy, and I'm pasting it. Okay. So let me open this, open with, and sovereign text. And they have asked us to and the sales IQ have asked us to add this in the script tag. Okay, so it's a script type code which they have given. Let me just paste it as a script tag. Under the head, I will just copy it and paste it. Script source is equal to, we have to give that pointer to the JS SDK file which we downloaded. So it's widgets SDK.min dot widgets. Okay, so now let me just pack and upload it. So we'll be seeing what issue we are facing. Set validate. Set back. So you can see we have the destination folder. For the sales IQ folder, we have the destination folder, and let me copy this zip file. And Now let us go ahead and post this file. So we'll see why that is not working. So in the widgets, we have not done anything new. It's the same what they have. The script which they have given is what I have copied and pasted it. So there's no way I have made any mistakes in that. Okay, sales IQ, and I'm uploading that widget file. Sales IQ.zip / widget.html. I'm creating it. So if I go to design, JS Builder demo, we'll just remove it. Under widgets, we can see sales IQ. So I refresh it. We can see we have a widget, but there is no sales IQ chatbot here. Okay, so we are supposed to get the chatbot here. The reason why it is not happening is because we have a concept called domain whitelisting in Zoho Creators widget, JS widget. Let me just get you through the documentation. So here we have the concept called domain whitelisting. This link will be shared to you in the chat. The chat option. Sorry, Coordinators will be sharing this link in the chat. Okay. So this whitelisting is used while we are trying to access a URL which is not from creator servers. Okay, by default, all these URLs are blocked. So if I'm trying to access google.com, creator server by default would have blocked that URL. So we have to go and inform the creator server that we are whitelisting that particular URL. Okay, so that we can do it from the plugin manifest.json file. So here in the application which we created, if we can take a look at the plugin manifest.json. Let me just open with Sublime Text. So we can see we have the service name as creator. The CSP domains is empty. So we can go ahead and add the required domains to this plugin.manifest. So let us say I want to add the sales IQ, and the sales IQ is from Zoho, right? So if I want to generally whitelist a particular domain, so let us say I want to whitelist all the applications from google.com. So let us say start.google.com. Okay, and we can also say I want the API to be Google APIs also to be whitelisted. So I'll say Google API.com. So if I mention like this, so what does it means is any domain name which is having the extension of google.com or Google API.com will be whitelisted. Okay, so in our case, we have to whitelist Zoho. So let me just put it as start.zoho.com, and let me just save it. Now let us pack this one more time. Not a valid JSON file. Okay. Okay, let me just save this and let us try to validate it one more time. Okay, so there are no validation violations there. So let us just pack it one more time, and older one gets deleted. and the destination folder gets a new sales IQ widget. Let me upload this widget now. And let me create it. Okay, so now we can see we have the sales IQ's chatbot enabled over here. Okay, so this is how we can whitelist a particular domain. So in case if we wanted to create a widget which gives us access to Mapbox services. Okay, so I'll show one more example for that as well. Uh, so this is the simple Mapbox example which will give you access to the Mapbox map, and here we have a few options to customize. So we can see the coordinates being passed over here, and we can see the center and we can see the zoom level. So these values can be passed dynamically from the creator's data. So we will not be customizing this API right now. We will be just seeing how we can get this service into creators widget, and then we will be moving to our next part of the session, which is users and management. Let me just copy this. So this is the entire JS widget. If I just copy this and replace my widget.html page with this JS widget, I'm sure I'll be able to get this exact service in. Just a second. Copy. So if I'm able to just paste it in the widget.html, I'll be able to get this deactive map in my widget. So let me just go to the console one more time. Maybe so Z image, and let me put that to creator, and it's map box demo. So we have the Mapbox demo folder creator, cd Mapbox. We don't have to run the Zec, right? So let me just go ahead and open that application widget.html. I saved it, and let me just close this as well. Application, let me copy the JS widget SDK main. Paste right now. And open with sublime text. Script source. Okay, so here the script source has been given from given as Mapbox script source. So we don't have to point that to the widget SDK of ours, even without this JS widget SDK. Sorry, even without this JS widget SDK, the Mapbox this particular service can be accessible because the script source is from the Mapbox API. So to use this, we have to, the next step is to whitelist that domain. So we go to plugin manifest.json. One way we go for sublime text. So this is the older one. same secure one. I have to go to the map box. So here we have the plugin manifest.json. Let me open with. So here, if I go ahead and say star dot, let me get the URL, mapbox.com. So we just save this. Or to go ahead and validate and package. So we have the destination folder where we have the Mapbox zip file. And let me go ahead and post a widget here. HTML, and that is the index file. .html. Let me create it. About let me create the page and the widget. So we can see the Mapbox widget has been loaded. I think there's some issue. I think there's some network issue with this. So actually, the widget widget is taking the data from Mapbox. We can see the Mapbox logo at the end. So it's not an empty widget. So I think there's some network issue from my side. So it is not getting the details. Okay. So that is all about the JavaScript widget, guys. So using this JavaScript widget, we can build our own custom. What's it? We can build our own custom components, and these components can be used to enhance the capability of creator. And so this is one sample form which was created using JS widget, and so you can see the form's UI, right? So it's how it is being transferred, and the transition between each and every tab. So and so this is another example which we saw earlier today. So while we click the custom action button, we saw the JS widget getting populated as a pop-up, and the data was fetched from creators form records. And the components are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And so coming to security and privacy, so the JS widgets code is not checked for any security vulnerabilities or the code logic issues by Zoho creator. So those responsibilities rest on the developer. Okay. So the vulnerabilities like cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery, and all those things are resting, or these should be fixed, identified and fixed by the developers themselves. Zoho creator will not play any particular role in that, and it is not recommended to store any personally identified information and other authentication codes like a token, client ID, or client secret hard coded in the widget code. So it's better to keep them dynamic. We can have those details in a form, fetch the detail, and use it inside our widget. And the application or the widget developers owns the sole responsibility of the security violations. So a creator will not be responsible for any violation which is happening regarding that account which is having the JS widget associated to that. So the limitations when it comes to JS widget is the first one is the maximum size of a particular JS widget can be only 5 MB per file, and the maximum number of widgets that can be uploaded per account is 50. And this count can be extended based on the demand which that account has. And so these are the supported file formats which can be used. And so while we are backupping the application, so let us say we are exporting the ds file and sharing the ds file to our client or someone else, the widgets will not be a part of the backup. So if we are exporting our widget, uh, the if we are exporting the ds file, our widget will not be a part of that ds file. Okay, so these are the limitations. And so widget is also supported with the native mobile and tablet applications as well, and it works on both Android and iOS platforms. Uh, so the applications which are downloaded as PWA. So Zoho Creator, we all know it as a mobile application, right? So it is a Creator's Android application is a cascading application inside which we can see all the applications we have created in our dashboard. Okay. And these applications can be accessed as PWA, which is progressive web apps. So the PWA, if I were to give a brief introduction, uh, they possess all the native actions which a normal Android application can do, but they use the browser's memory settings. Okay, so we don't have to provide us a specific memory location or memory setting to the application in PWA. And it's like extended version of the websites. Only thing is these websites also behave as mobile applications. So that is why we call it as progressive web apps. Okay, so the widgets which are built, widgets which are built and host are also supported in the PWA forms as well. And apps should be responsive in nature. So like while we are building a JS widget, we should make sure that the JS widget is responsive to all the screens. So the factors like mobiles, tablets, or web browser will be like we have to make sure it's responsive to these screens. So then also we also discussed about the domain whitelisting, and now let us get into the users and permissions. Okay. So there are three kinds of users in Zoho Creator. One is the organizational users, one is the developers, and others are the customer portal users. So coming to developers, the developers are the guys who will have full access to the application, both front end and back end of the application. So they can go ahead and uh, they can change applications, they can access the forms in the edit mode, they can access workflows, they can write workflows and all. And the organizational users are the users who have access to the application only in live mode. Their function is just to use the application the way it is intended, and they can view the data, they can add data to it, they can do the data access operations, but they won't be able to edit the application like the developers do. And there are one more set of users who are called as customer portal users. The difference between the organizational user and customer portal user is like the organizational users are the employees of that particular organization, and the customer portal users are like they are also associated to the organization, but they are not the direct employees. So let us take an example of a security team which is hosted in the IT firm, and the security team is a third party contractors team. And even though they are available in the on-premise of the company and they have access to the company, they are not organization users. They are customer. They can be considered as a customer portal users since they are third-party contractors. And so we'll be taking a look at permissions. So we have permission sets in the module level, record level, feature level, field level, and we also have permission sets for module level, record level, and feature level for customer portal users as well. Okay, so we also take a look at roles and role hierarchy. So let us take a look at the live example of this customer portal. Okay, sorry. Let us take a look at the live example of the portal users. Again, I'm sorry. We are going to take a look at the users and permission sets. Just give me 1 second. Let me have some water. Okay. Okay. So let us start with the customer portal. Sorry. Let us start with the users and permissions. Okay. I'm really sorry. I think I'm a bit exhausted. Just give me a second. Okay. So let me go get into the settings of the application. The settings, we have the options called users and control. Okay, so under the users and control, we have the set of permissions for users. We have set of permissions for customer portal users as well. Okay, we'll start with the users. We'll start with the users in the application. Hello, is my voice audible? Sorry, I just lost the power. Can you please confirm if my voice is audible? I just lost power. Okay, thank you, thank you. I just lost power and I think my broadband may be down anytime. Okay, so let's continue with this session. So under settings, we see the option for control users and controls. By getting to the users, so this is the place where we assign multiple permission sets to different users. So for example, so this application has been built by me. So if I go to creator.zoho.com in my dashboard, I can see this application. Okay. So this application is built by me, but it is not shared to any of the users. So let me go ahead and add a few more components to this application, and I'll show you how we can control the component access to this application based on the users. So let me go ahead and create another form. We call it as data, and I'm just creating it. This is an empty form. Okay. So as of now, we have the components like we have two forms, we have few reports, we have few pages associated with this application. So Let me add a new user. So the login of this particular user is so this user is surendra.sr+t0@zohotest.com. So let me invite a different user and I'll show you how we can control the component access in the form level. So that's called as a module level form control. So let me invite. Let me share this file to another application, another login, which is. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Abhi, are you there?
Surinder, I'm there. Yeah. Tell me, Surinder.
Abhi, actually, my account has that account sharing issue, right? Can you take users and permissions thing alone?
Yeah, you want me to take them through the
Yeah.
users and permissions? Yeah, I'll do it. Not a problem.
So I won't be able to show them the multiple logins, right? So if I have to share the application. So can you do it? I just remembered that.
Yeah. I'll do it. I'll take through them on users and permissions and customer portal. Not a problem.
Yeah. Thank you, Abhi.
Thank you. Hello. Is everyone able to hear me? Okay. Yeah. Great. So just give me a few minutes. I'll just open it and. I'm going to share my screen now. Just let me know if it is visible. Is it visible? You're all able to see my screen? Visible. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's start with this users and permissions. Surendra gave you a glimpse of what about the users. So with respect to the stakeholders, so when someone is purchasing the license of Zoho Creator, one would be the organization who is purchasing the license, right? Another would be organization's vendor or customer, or it could be any other third-party services. Okay. So within the organization, if it is going to be an organization users, then within the organization you would have the salesperson, purchase manager, accountant, or a technician who would have access to the application or the Zoho Creator account. We call them as an organization user, right? Coming to the portal users, this organization, this particular organization, it could be a manufacturing industry or it could be any other industry, trading industry. They would have their customers and vendors or any service providers to whom they wanted to share the application and to whom they wanted to give access to the modules or forms, right? For example, so the customer might raise the order from the portal and the organization would receive the order from there. Right. So in those cases, the organization users would give access to the portal users. So again, I'm just giving a recap. We have two stakeholders. One is organization users and another is portal user. Okay. So organization, within the organization, first is we'll be looking at organization users. Within the organization users, we will have the salesperson, purchase person operating the application, and we will also have a developer who would have edit access to the application. He can create forms, he can write workflow logics, he can create pages and other components. The entirety or the wholesome will be available for the developers. But to the organization users, it will be based on the permission sets. So initially, there will be a super admin or admin who will have access to the entire application and the entire account. Within the organization, the admin will set the user level permissions. So the salesperson should be able to see these many modules. He should be able to read, he should be given read or write permission. And the purchase person should only be able to see the purchase module. So he'll give a definition of that, right? So developer, whatever module or the forms needs to be added, or if any logic needs to be changed, then the developer will take care of it. So coming to the permission sets, when you take the organization users, you can see the difference. So with the organization user and the portal user, this organization user will have module level permission, record level permission, feature level permission, and field level permission. But with respect to the portal user, this field level permission will not be available, right? So let me quickly take you into the application. Before that, let's also look at the hierarchy and roles. So when I say roles and role hierarchy, when it is a small organization, role doesn't play a much important role. So like they wouldn't have any much of hierarchy. Directly one person, there would be 5 people or 10 employees within the organization. Anybody would perform any role. But what if an organization has got huge number of employees? So there, that is where the role hierarchy comes into the major play, right? Here, you could see the hierarchy. The CEO here, under the CEO, VP Sales and Marketing, VP HR, VP Engineering, and Finance they all come under CEO. And under VP, we have Director Sales, Director Marketing, and under Finance, under Engineering, we have these many hierarchies. So here the hierarchy goes on and on till the salesperson, right? So here the CEO would be able to see the entire transactions that are created by all these who comes under the CEO, and the VP would be able to see director sales and director marketing transactions. So VP engineering wouldn't be able to see director sales and director marketing transaction. So since they both come under VP S&M role hierarchy. So here the sales manager would be able to see the California sales, Georgia sales, and Florida sales transactions, but the sales manager wouldn't be able to see the or you cannot backtrack. Sales manager wouldn't be able to see the director sales transaction records, right? So this is how the data access and the hierarchy looks like. So coming to the data sharing, there is another concept called data sharing. So in case if director sales is going on a leave and on a long leave, and he has to hand over his works to some other person, right? So he's handing over all his works to director marketing, right? So in those cases, we can use the option called data sharing, which I'll be explaining you. Okay. So director marketing would get the data access of whatever director sales was handling. So under director sales, these are the set of employees, subordinates that come under director sales. Now, if the data sharing is being done, all the employees who did come under the director sales the transactions created by them will be visible for director marketing. Okay, so this is a concept of data sharing, and there is another concept called peer-to-peer. if whatever transactions, California, so sales manager USA and sales manager Europe, they come under the same peer. And California sales, Georgia sales, and Florida sales, they also come under same. They would be coming under the same peers, right? So whatever transactions that are created by California sales, Georgia sales should have data access. So this is what we call it as a peer-to-peer transaction. So let me just get into the application, and I'll show you how can we create users and permissions. So am I going in the right place or right pace, or should I slow the pace? Just confirm. After that, I'll proceed with. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me get into an application. So I'll get into an application called File Manager. So within File Manager, in the edit mode of the application, we can go to settings and we can go to users. Just navigate to users and controls and go to users. Within the users, we have added that there will be one app admin by default. And there will be, I have added one developer. So here I'm going to add, here you could see different tabs, users, permissions, roles, data sharing, and domain restrictions, right? So let's go through one by one now. So coming to the permission sets. So whatever modules are available within the application would be appearing inside the permission set. So we can decide on which module permission has to be given to which employee. So I'm defining a common permission set and I'll be assigning it to a user. Okay. So let me create the permission set as insurance, or I'm setting it as manager. So insurance company would have a manager role. So the users who are given this permission set would be able to have access to the modules that we are going to assign now. Okay. So what I'll be doing is I'll be just assigning this insurance claim. And within the access permission, I'm setting access view level. So the users who are with the permission set manager would be able to access the form, would be able to view the records, would be able to edit the information and delete the information, and he can import it. So here, yesterday we were discussing about the shared analytics. So if this user has been given shared analytics option, then from the live mode of application, he would be able to create a new report. And he will be able to read the comments and write the comments. So here we have an option called field level permission. So when we were looking at slides, the organization users, whatever we are creating with the users, they would be considered as an organization user, right? So they will be given this field level permission. But the for the portal users, you will not be able to see this field level permission. So I'm clicking on this. And it shows you the visibility and read only mode. So if you don't want the visibility to be shown, you can just take it off. So if this particular user, if he doesn't want to see the ID or the record status or the policy information, you can just hide it off. I'm adding all the information. And I will also assign insurance policy. So here, yeah. So as I told you, this file manager has got insurance policy, insurance claim, and a file set, employee expenses, KYC details. So yesterday I was explaining about all these modules, right? an employee raising a customer applying for the policy, and it goes for the approval. So I've included all these modules into the file manager. Okay. So I'm also including the KYC details. Once this is done, let's just save the information. We have not given access permission to employee expenses, file set, and insurance claim. So now we have added the permission. Here you can see an option called API and security permission, right? I'm just expanding it. Here you have this API access control. So within an organization, the organization sometimes doesn't want to expose certain information even to its employees who we call it as organization users, right? So in those cases, we are providing a restriction. We are setting limitation on the API access. So if it is enabled, then the organization users would be able to have access to the APIs. If this is disabled, they wouldn't have access to the APIs. And coming to this PII data and EPHI data. So as I told you, this PII data, it is personally identifiable information. So while showing the field properties, you remember we had control personal data, and I'll just take you to the application now. So for certain fields, I'll get into employee expenses form. We'll just drag and drop a field. And on the right hand side, you would be able to see contains personal information and contains health related information. We were discussing about that. Hope you remember this. So if this phone number or the name is or any other fields within the form is tagged as contain personal information or contains health information, then what happens is at the user permission level, you can decide whether the record or the data, that is PII data and EPHI data, can be shown to the user or it should be hidden from the user. Okay. So here I'm enabling that it has to be shown to the user, and also I'm enabling that it has to be shown to the user, or you can just mark it as hide. So what happens is we marked this phone number as contains personal data and contains EPHI. So how would system recognize this? I'm getting into this employee expenses. When I click on this more information at the field permission level, here you can see that phone number is being tagged as contains personally identifiable information and electronic protected health information. So whatever I have tagged it in the form level, it is appearing in the report level, and I can set the visibility here. Got it? So this is how we ensure that we adhere to the data privacy and data security policies. Okay. Now I'm saving this permission set manager. So insurance company manager who approves the insurance claim, insurance amount and claimable amount. So let's save the information now. And the next step is here we have a option called roles, right? So how do we add the roles here? So we have one role. Let's try to add multiple roles here. Here you can see, just 1 minute. Okay. Now let's add a user and assign the permission set. Okay. I'm adding the user And here what I'm doing is, here you have add users option. You can add the email address. And as soon as you add the email address, an invitation will be sent to the email address. From there, they can set the password and they can have access to the application. Okay. So now I'm going to add the user abhinaya.kg plus E70 at zohotest.com. So what is the permission set that I'm giving? I'm going to give this manager permission set. Okay. So we created the permission set for the manager. Now it will be notified. I'll be notified via email. Now if I give share, I would have received an email notification. So let me get into the T70 login. So let me check if I'm into the T70. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm into T70 login. So let's add a, I'm getting into the application. Let me quickly sign in. I'd have received an invitation. So file manager is the application name. So let me have access to the application. This is the application. From here itself, I can have, as you can see, for the manager role, I have assigned a user, and manager permission set, I have assigned the user. For the manager permission set, I haven't given the employee expenses and few other forms. So I have only given insurance policy, insurance claim, insurance stateless, KYC, and the reports. So since we gave create new reports, this manager would be able to create reports from live mode of the application. Okay. So now this manager would be able to edit the edit the form, access the form, and delete the records. So if I have to set the restriction, then I can do so from the admin login. So I can just go to the permission set. I can get into manager. So edit and delete access, if I'm taking it off, then manager wouldn't be able to edit or delete the transactions. So in this way, you can set the permission set. Coming to the data sharing. So we have one role. We'll add other roles as well. I'm adding under the CEO, we have VP, Vice President. So here we have an option, share data with peers, right? So this option, if you are enabling, whoever comes under the CEO, uh, those who come under the CEO, they will be able to see the transactions between one another. So let me just show you how it happens. I'm saving it. So again, I'm adding one more role, Vice President, or I'm adding CFO, so who also comes under CEO, right? Who handles the finance. So here I'm giving share data with peers. So whatever transactions that CFO is creating, Vice President, who is a peer of the CFO, would be able to have data access to the records. So I'm saving. Now under CFO, I can create accountant, accounts officer, and many other roles. So here I'm giving the share data with peers. So whoever comes under CFO, they will be peer for this accounts officer, right? So they would be able to have access to the information that accounts officer is creating. So this is how the role hierarchy works. So once I have added the role, before you wouldn't have seen the role that is appearing while creating the user. Now, I should just enable it. Just 1 minute. Okay, here there is a option called role hierarchy, right? I'm clicking on this role hierarchy. Here what happens is, based on the organization and the hierarchy level, I can enable which all module needs hierarchy. So I'm setting it as, I'm enabling everything. So some companies, they wouldn't be requiring the hierarchy. So only when this role hierarchy is being added, the manager is not given the employee expenses. So I'm adding other, uh, I'm adding other modules, that is forms. So I'm saving this. So once the role hierarchy is added, only if your company is adhering to the role hierarchy, you can add this. Otherwise, you can go with it as such. Then here you would be able to see, choose the role. So you will be adding the user and you will be assigning the permission set, and also you would be adding the, choosing the role. So CEO, he'll be able to see the vice president, CFO, and account officer's information. And CFO, he would be able to see account officer's information. So this is how the role hierarchy works. And coming to the data sharing part. So as I told you, there could be a possibility that one employee might leave the organization or he might go on a long leave. So he has to hand over all his works to other employee, right? In that case, data sharing can be done. So here I'm giving the rule name. VP change and the form that I have to give access to. So I'm giving insurance policy here, to which roles and which subordinates, to all the roles and subordinates. For this particular records shared from CFO to accounts officer. So all the roles and the subordinates who comes under the CFO, the records will be shared to the accounts officer. So what is the level of access that I wanted to give? It is read only access or read and write access. So I can give read and write access as he is a accounts officer. So if an accounts officer, the one with accounts officer role, if he is trying to access the application, he would be able to see the subordinates information, that is who comes under CFO. Those who come under CFO, all the information will be seen by the accounts officer, and they will have read and write permission. Now I'm saving it. So coming to the domain restriction. So what domain is being allowed and what is not being allowed can be defined here. So this will secure the application by restricting users in the application. Any user whose email doesn't belong to the verified domain cannot be added. So for example, if I'm adding a Zoho domain into the domain list, it will be verified, and only those who come from the Zoho domain will be able to access the application, or they'll be added as a user. Otherwise, if the domain restriction is set to any particular domain, they wouldn't be they cannot be added as a user. Okay, so this is how the users and permission works. Coming to the export option. So you can just filter it by permission, and you can just export all the user information in the form of CSV, XLS, SX, and TSV format. Okay. So I think we covered users, permissions, roles, data sharing, and domain sharing. So you can just give it a try as hands-on from your end, from the test account. So the next topic would be the customer portal user, right? Let's get into the customer portal. As I told you, every organization will have their customers and vendors or any other service providers for them. So they would want to give access to these portal users, and that is when we create a portal and we give access to them. Okay. So you can add the customers, you can import the customers, you can change the permission levels, you can export the customers, and you can delete the customers as well. So let's see how this is done. Okay. So under the same users and controls, we have below these users, we have this customer portal option, right? So I'm getting into the customer portal. So here is where we will be adding the customer portal user. First, we'll have to go with the configuration part. So we have two options for defining the portal URL. One is that we can go with the default URL as such, or you can, if you have any custom domain, then you can go with the custom domain option. So let's now stick on to this default URL option. I'm getting into default URL. So within this, you can get to see three different options. One is public, another is private, and the third one is restricted. So what does this mean? So if the portal is set to be public, anyone with the portal link can have access to the application. Okay. So adding a level of security. Next is a private. So if you have any newsletters or any common information, generic information, which does not contain any sensitivity in it, then you can go for the public option. Okay. So coming to the private. So here, this portal link can be accessed by the customers who has been sent an invite. So here we would be adding we would be adding the customer, and an invitation will be sent to the customer. The invitation from the invitation, the customer will have access to the portal. He can set the password and he can have access to the portal. So coming to the restricted. So an additional level of security is the restricted mode. So the customer has been added into the portal, added into the customer list. Now, what happens is the admin has to approve this customer. Only then he will have access to the portal. He'll verify if he is a valid customer or an authentic customer, only authorized customer. Only then this customer, after the approval, he would have access to the portal. So these are the three ways in which we can create the portal type. Okay. So now let's take this as a public one. Okay. So within that, we have two. I mean, we can, by default, we have a permission set called customer. What all a customer portal user can see and what all he shouldn't be seeing. We can as well create a custom permission set. Now let's stick on with this to this customer portal permission set. As you can see, it will take us to different options like customers, permissions, authentication, email notification, and page customization. So let's quickly get into all of these. Coming to the permission sets, we gave the permission set to be the default permission set, right? So here you can see, as I told you, there is one difference between the organization users permission set and portal users permission set. That is at the field level. When you click on this, you wouldn't be able to see certain options that you saw in the with the normal user permission set, right? Writing comments, reading comments, creating new reports, and field level permission. That is not available here. So that is a difference. Here we have options to add the customer. So let me add a customer. I'm adding Vinaya JK. So he's an external user who would have access to my application. So he can have Gmail domain as well. So I'm allowing the portal user to have different domains, and I'm adding the customer. Okay. So I'm adding the customer, and I can set the permission level as customer. Or if it needs to be customized, I can create a custom permission and I can assign it to the user. Okay. Coming to the third part, which is authentication. So this is one of the most important the predominant feature of the customer portal. So here we have this default portal login and SAML authentication. So you might have heard of this federated login. For example, while downloading an application in the Play Store, via the Play Store, it would ask for the option. You already have user credentials in Google and Facebook. Now, if you're trying to download the application from the Play Store, it would ask you for the option if you can use Google's credentials or Facebook credentials, right? So that we call it as federated login. Here, Google and Facebook, they act as identity service providers. They will store all our identities and they will just give us a response that he's a right user. And within with that response, we would have access to the application. So this is one way of logging into the portal. Okay. So And another way is using SAML authentication. So SAML is one of the secured, it's a framework. You can achieve the single sign-on in a secured way using the SAML authentication. So what does it do? What does this SAML authentication do? We have within the Zoho creator account, we have many applications, say 10 to 15 applications we have. Okay. And say for example, uh, there is one user who is added as a customer portal user to more than 5 applications. Okay. In that case, that particular user, he cannot remember all the user credentials, right? It's very natural that you tend to forget the password. You cannot create user credentials for each and every application, right? So in those cases, what we would be doing is we would be using the SAML authentication framework to achieve the single sign-on. So one user, he can, though he has been given portal access to multiple applications within the Zoho creator account. I'm just getting into the account. So here are the list of applications. Say we have an attendee who is Anu, right? So Anu now has almost I mean, like access customer portal. I'm giving customer portal access to Anu Ramakrishnan uh, for around 5 to 6 applications: order management, E2E deep learning, and customer approval. So Anu cannot create user credential for every application and remember it, right? So what the company does is, what the admin does is, there will be an identity provider that does not belong to Zoho Creator. Okay, so it could be one login system or any other identity providers. Now I'll be showing the one login system. So all the user identity will be maintained within the IDP service providers. Uh, within the IDP service provider. That is, it could be one login. Okay. So every time when the user is trying to log in, this IDP provider will check for the user identity. It will validate and it will send a response saying that Anu is the right user. She's accessing the right application and now she can have access to the system. Now Zoho Creator will identify that yes, Anu is the right user. Now she can have access to the application. Okay. So now I have created a one login account. So as I told you, this one login is a identity provider, right? So I have an user credentials within one login, and as an admin, if I'm the admin, I would be adding the users into the one login application. Okay, so here I've added the user abhinayajk@gmail.com. So the most important step is, I'm getting into, yeah. The first step is to add the user here as a customer, and the customer has to be approved, and only then that user needs to be added into the one login portal. Okay, only then further process needs to be done. Okay, so here there is an option called application, right? So I'm getting into the application, and I'm going to add a new application. So how do I add the new application? I wanted to add this file manager application within Zoho Creator into one login, and I'll be mapping that with the user Anu or whoever I have added. Okay, so now I'm adding. Here there is an option called SAML connector, custom connector, advanced. So I'll be getting into this custom connector. So here it is asking for the display name, right? I'll be giving the display name as the application name. This is for my identification purpose. So once this is done and saved, it will take me to the configuration page. Okay. So this has configuration, SSO and all that, right? So if I get into configuration, here you would be able to see the ACS URL validator, ACS consumer URL and all the information. Now what we will be doing is, here I have the portal, URL. So I'm getting into authentication. I'm enabling this SAML. So as soon as I enable this SAML, what happens is the ACL URL will get generated. So this ACL URL, I'll be placing it within the one login account. One login doesn't belong to Zoho Creator. It's an identity provider. Okay. So for the one login to identify that this is the application or this is the portal, I'm going to add it into the recipient, into ACS consumer, and next one. So I'm going to place the portal URL into recipient ACS consumer URL validator ACS consumer URL. So once this is done, I'll be saving. So the purpose of adding the URL is once the user is trying to log in into the portal, it will redirect to the one login account using this ACS URL. So one-way sync has happened now. Now we'll have to achieve the two-way sync as well. So now I'll be adding the SSO information. Here we have this issuer URL, SAML 2.0 endpoint, SAML 2.0 SLO endpoint, right? So I'm copying this, I'm placing it within the login URL, and I'm copying this SLO endpoint and I'm placing it within the logout URL. So that two-way handshake happens between the Zoho creator and also one login identity provider. Okay, so I have placed the ACS URL into one login account, and from the one login account, I have just added the SAML endpoint HTTP into our creator. Okay, so whenever the user is trying to log in, one login will identify it if he is a valid user, and it'll path the response and it'll send it to the Zoho creator, right? So Zoho creator has to know whether the response is from the proper IDP, that is from one login. So that is the reason we are giving this login URL and logout URL. And there is another option called public key, and using this only the actual handshake happens. So to take the public key, we'll have to go to X certificate, X509 certificate. You're going to view details, and you will have a file with the format PEM. You're just downloading this encryption file. That is the key. So one login 6 is the file that I've downloaded. Now this key I'm going to upload into Zoho Creator. So there is an option called Get Key from File. I'm going to browse it and I'm going to add it. Now the algorithm I'm choosing it. I've chosen it as RSA and I have configured. So the configuration is done, right? Now the user is being added. The application is also being added. I'll have to associate user and the application, right? So for that, I'll have to get into the user, and on the left hand side, you will get to see the list of applications that the user belongs to. Here, I will add another application, that is file manager, that I've created. So now with this user, abhinayajk@gmail.com, will have a single login credential for both these applications. Okay. So the configuration is done. We have added it. The user has been added and mapped with the application. Now, if he is trying to log in from the portal, what happens is, I'm just copying this. So from another browser, let me try to open this. What happens is, it will take me to the one login page. You can see that it's one login and it's a file manager application. So now I'll be giving the username jk@gmail.com. So this one login will verify the identity and it will take you to the file manager place. So I actually forgot the password. So once the password is given, this initially it'll be, we gave the Zoho Creator portal login. You can see that it is redirected to one login, and after redirecting, giving the username and password, it will redirect us to the file manager application. So this is how the single sign-on using SAML authentication is achieved. Okay, so we will also quickly look at the email notification and page customization. So the page, login page, and okay, coming to the invitation template and reset password template. So if a portal invitation has to be sent to the customer, how should it look like? You're just editing it, and you can change the way you wanted it to be. You can add the subject, you can merge the field, you can select the field on which needs to be added. And here we have the editor. You can make use of this editor and design the invitation template. Same as that, you have a reset password template as well. You can reset the password as well, and you can there is a template to that. Once the password is being reset, we received a request to reset the password. You can just change the message however you wanted it to be. And we have this login page, sign up page, and reset password page, right? You can change the appearance of it. It will take you to the record templates. Yesterday, we've been discussing about this record template, which had heading, paragraph, image, table, and all that. So using that, you can change the template in which you wanted the sign-in page or login page to look like, log-off page to look like. So I'm not going very in-depth on this record template, as we have discussed this earlier. So I think I have covered all of these. So I'll get into customer portal. So one more quick point is about the settings. So when you get into the settings, we set it to be public. So there is an option called notify admin and user on sign up. So whenever the user is signing up for the portal, admin would also receive the notification and user would also receive the notification when this is enabled. Okay, and there is a default permission set which you can like change it, and there is an option called allow customers to change their email address. So if you enable this, they can change their email address here from abhinayajk@gmail.com. If I wanted further portal access from a different email address, I can give it. Okay, so same as that, when you get into private, you wouldn't be having any of this option. When you go to restricted, again there is an option called notify customer on sign up approval. So once the sign up is being done, a notification email will be sent, and also within the Zoho CRM contacts, auto approval will be done to the Zoho CRM contacts. So all these customers will be pushed to the Zoho CRM. And here again, whether you're allowed to change the email address or not can be specified here. So this is the way that customer portal works. So if you have any clarifications, you can just post it in the questions tab. With this, we're coming to end of this session, and we have further sessions coming up. Our co-trainers would be posting the link for tomorrow's session, and this is like a 5-day series. So for 2 more sessions are pending. So for tomorrow's session, the link will be shared in the questions tab. The chat. You can just register right away to join for tomorrow's session. Thank you. We'll give few more minutes for the queries and we will close the session. Thank you. Hope you found it to be informative.